Welcome to CFR SPM Paper 2, Part 2, Guided Writing for Towards Excellence in SPM 2021. My name is Lin Leong King and I will be teaching you on guided writing for CFR SPM Paper 2. A kind reminder, these videos focus on guided writing for CFR SPM Paper 2 and also focus on best practice for guided writing. You can use the practice learned in these videos for other similar type of writing. Before we move on to the best practice for guided writing, it is wise to understand how the marks are awarded for guided writing and build our practice based on the marking scheme to ensure that you can be efficient with your times and yet get the best mark for your writing. Like Part 1, email writing, and Part 3, extended writing, your essay will be evaluated based on these four categories: content, communicative achievements, organizations, and language. You could get 0 in one of the categories if you don't achieve a certain criteria in your essay. Let's delve into the best practice for guided writing using the marking scheme as a guideline. The first thing you should do before planning or writing your essay is to read instructions carefully and understand what you are required to do for the task. A common mistake done by SPM candidates is that they take the instructions for granted and expect the instructions to be the same every year. This type of thinking is dangerous as the instructions is subject to change and it might cause you to lose marks as you are expected to read the instructions and write your essay that cater to the objective of the task. Let's read the instructions. You must answer these questions. Write your answers in 125 to 150 words in an appropriate style. Based on these instructions, it is mandatory for you to write this essay, and you are advised to write your essays within 125 to 150 words. This means, in order to get decent marks, you will need to write about 125 words to provide adequate vocabularies for the assessment. You will get less marks if you write less than 100 words, but you won't be penalized if you write more than 150 words. It is just not a smart way to do so, as you still have another about 200 words essay to write. Let's continue reading the instructions. Question 2. Your class has been discussing how they spend their money, and your teachers has asked you to write an essay about what you should spend your money on. From this part of the instructions, the topic of your writing is clearly stated, and it is what you would spend your money on. Now, let's understand the importance of knowing the topics for your essay. The subject of the topic is you, so you must write your essay with you as a focus. Another common mistake done by aspiring candidates is that they always write something partially related to the topic, hence lose a lot of marks because of it. For example, a careless candidate might write how to spend money wisely instead of how you spend your money on. So understanding the topics well helps to prevent your writings from getting out of the topic. And you will lose a lot of marks if your writing is out of topics, and you wouldn't want that to happen, am I right? Besides, it also helps you to plan your essay. This will be explained eventually, as topics will always be mentioned in each stage of writing. And lastly, knowing the topics will also help you to identify the audience. The topics of the task is very personal, so the appropriate readers for your writing is someone who are similar to you, like you are all teenagers, so the writing audience can be set to teenagers for your writing to be easy to understand. After we have understood the topics of the task, let's move on and continue reading the instructions. In your essay, you should write about what you would like to buy, reason for your choice, and where do you usually buy these things. Write your essay using all the notes and giving reasons for your point of view. From this part of instructions, we can find the writing objective in bullet form. First objective, what would you like to buy? Second objective, reason for your choice. And the third objective, where do you usually buy these things? So this adjective becomes our writing purpose, and we need to answer all the objectives in order to get maximum marks for content, which is 5 marks, as the last instructions clearly states that you must use all the notes, and the latter parts clearly states that you need to give reason for your points of view. So how well you express your opinions will determine the marks for your essay. Let's explore deeper into the writing objective to ensure we can get the best marks for our essay. Let's list out all the objectives we should write in our essay. Then the first step we should do is to identify the priorities in the objective. Simplest terms, are there any plural nouns in the objective? Since full marks is given if you use all the notes, so you are also expected to completely understand the objective. Let's find all the plural nouns in the objective. We can find reason on the second objective and these things on the third objective. Now, let's go deeper into the meaning, starting from reason. What with reason being a plural noun, you are expected to give 2 or more reasons. If you only give one reason, you only partially answer the objective, and that's not good for your overall marks. Now, move on to these things. These things means that you should provide at least 2 things which you want to buy, or it can be a collective noun like furnitures, drinks, and electronic device. By fully understanding what we are required to write, we can get maximum marks for our content. Now we can move on to the second stage of writing, which is planning. Let's take out a piece of paper, and we are going to use it for our writing outline. Let's write down all the objectives on that paper. First, we know that we need to write at least 2 things we want to buy for the first objective. But let's put down a collective noun as it is easier to write. Then, from the second objective, we need to write at least 2 reasons to buy these items. So let's put down 2 reasons, 1 reason and another reason. And don't forget the last objective, which is to tell readers where to buy these things. Let's put it down in the outline. Now we have the content parts of the marking scheme covered. Let's move on to another part of marking scheme, communicative achievements. The part is all about how we deliver our ideas. Hence, we need to think about the purpose of our essay and how we convince our readers. Let's start with the purpose of our essay. This boils down to our creativities based on the topic. Are we going to make our essay meaningful by providing extra information on how to save money on certain things, or to tell readers about your hobbies, or to tell readers about how to get the best thing in your hometown? All this purpose make your essay meaningful and thus attract more attention from the reader. Remember, merits will always be given for creativities. However, we can always use the purpose given by the task, which is to tell readers about the things you want to spend, as you only need to write about 125 words essay, and it is better to save your concentrations for extended writing. In these videos, we are going to use the last purpose for the above reason. Now, let's talk more about the purpose of the writing, as it will affect the marks for the communicative achievements. First, the purpose must be in introductions and conclusions. It must be clear and easy to understand. Second, there must be attempt to persuade the readers to accept our point of view. How do you do so? By elaborating and giving examples. The more convincing our essay to the readers, the better the marks for the communicative achievements. Now we know the importance of introductions, conclusions, and elaborations. Let's go back to the outline and add in introductions and conclusions. Now the outlines looks good. Look like we can make a paragraph to organize our ideas and to make it easy for the readers to read. The easier it is to read our essay, the better marks for the organizations. Let's take opportunities to learn more on how to score for organizations. In short, organization marks depends on our abilities to organize ideas, link previous ideas to another ideas, or relate to the main topics or the main ideas. Anything in our essay which makes our essay easy to read will influence the marks for the organizations. Well, this is the reason why we need to have to make paragraphs. use connectors or adverbs, make compound sentences and complex sentences, and we can also use prepositions to link previous ideas or to introduce new sections of the ideas in our writing. Let's start with paragraphing. The sole purpose of paragraphing is to make our essay easy to read. Hence, instead of cutting one long idea in half into two new paragraphs, in which most candidates often do, we put one idea, one question, or one objective in one paragraph. It will be easier for readers to differentiate the objective, and hence marks can be easily given. Let's talk about connectors and adverbs. These are our daily words to link ideas together. Want to start with the first ideas? We can use firstly and first and foremost, introducing the following ideas, besides, moreover, and furthermore, and introducing the final ideas of your writing, lastly, and last but not least. We can also use adverb like to and also to introduce additional ideas. Not only connectors, compound sentences using the words and, but, or, and complex sentences using conjunctions will make our essay easy to read. Complex sentences provide additional information into our essay, making it easier to sway readers to our opinions or purpose of writing. Here are the examples of conjunctions and relative pronouns to build complex sentences. As the final part of the marking scheme, language, it will not be brief in these videos. As long as you are able to write grammatically correct sentences and have a wide range of vocabularies, it should not be a problem to get a decent marks for these sections. Enough with technical stuff and let's move into writing. To start our writings off, we need to have introductions, and it must introduce the topics of what we are going to write and provide purpose or opinions in answers to the questions. The topics of our essay is what you spend your monies on. Let's start introducing the topics. The easiest way to introduce the topic is to describe something which we know about the topics. And if we want to be creative, we can use rhetoric questions or pronoun we and you to involve readers into the writing. Back to the topics of the essay. What you spend your monies on? Is it on mobile games, food, cars, or clothes? There's no right or wrong answers, as it is wise to choose something we can write, considering we need to write about 125 words. To get better marks for communicative achievements, let's think of the readers as well when introducing the topics, and be specific so that it is easier to describe the topic. Let's write the introductions. Here is a sample of the introductions on the topic. Please pause the videos to read the instructions. Always try to be specific so that we can relate to the right audience. Like we are all teenagers, so now let's focus on teenagers as audience. Describe the topics to the best of our abilities and focus on teenagers so that the teenage readers relate more to our essay. Somehow these introductions look kinda mediocre, so let's improve the introductions. Here is the second samples of introductions. It is a better introductions as the introductions use the pronoun we and you to involve the readers. It is a direct way to involve the readers into our writings, and readers will engage more into the writings if the writing is about them rather than someone in general. Another excellent way to involve the readers is by asking readers questions to engage them into our writing. Use an open-ended questions without providing any answers so that the readers will have to think of their own answers and predict their answers so that we can write the following sentences using readers' answers as a basis. Last but not least, always be specific. It is never wrong to be specific, as it makes our writing easier to read. It not only limits the scope of the topics, but also provide additional information to prevent readers' confusions when reading our essay. The less readers have to stop reading to think and add in their own ideas in order to understand what we are writing about, the better our essay will be. Please pause the videos if you want to read the introductions. To finalize our introductions, we need to add purpose or opinions into our introductions. It adds flavors to our writing, making it more mature and meaningful. Now, let's take a look at the topics of our essay so that we don't write out of topics, and look at our writing objectives to determine the writing purpose of our essay. Obviously, we need to introduce the things we want to buy and provide readers with reason for our choice and where we plan to buy these things. We can also be creative on this part to make our essay more unique, distinguishing ourselves from average English language user. This will give us additional merit, but there is no point doing so as the standard of this task is B2. It is better for us to go straight to the objective and finish our writing as soon as possible so that we can focus on part 3, in which the standard is C2. In simple terms, it is harder to get higher marks for part 3. Now we have identified the writing purpose. Let's put it into our introductions. First, let's start off with writing a simple writing purpose and come back to the first introduction sample. Remember that the topic is about you, so we need to make it personal. The easiest way to make it personal is to use the preposition phrase "as for me." Let's use that. The purpose is to introduce something that we want to buy and provide information on reason why we want to buy it and where we can get these things. Hence, let's answer the first objective. To make our essay easy to read, it is advisable to hint readers about the content. Let's roughly include second and third objective into our introductions. Now your introductions is done. Now the question is, can we make these introductions even better? The answer is yes. Let's use second introduction sample to improve our writing's objective. To do so, it is always to be specific. The more concise our ideas, the easier it is to read our essay. If we use collective nouns, reasons, always give some examples, as giving examples is the best way to provide a clear and accurate meanings to the readers so that they can understand our essay better. With more specific writing objectives, our introductions is done. Let's move to our writing outlines and put down 2 ticks on the introductions and collective nouns. Now 4 more to go. When writing the body of our essay, we need to constantly remind ourselves that we need to convince readers about our opinions or purpose. As more convincing our essay is, the more they can relate to our essay, making our essay meaningful to them. To do so, we need to make our essay easy to understand. And for this guided writing, the structure of the essay has been given to us. So let's use it to write our body. Since we need to make our essay easy to read, let's divide second objective and the third objective into two paragraphs. Starting with the second paragraph, with the second objective. Here is a sample of second paragraph focusing on second objective. You can pause the videos to read the paragraph. Since this is an objective-based task, we need to make sure to provide two reasons for our choice. So make sure that this paragraph have at least two reasons. And to make our essay easy to read, we need to use connectors like first of all, besides, moreover, and many more to tell readers about the sequence of our reason. Or we can use ordinals numbers, like what we will use for this paragraph, to help readers to easily identify our reason for our choice. And we can also use connectors like culinary, compound sentences using and or but, and complex sentences using after, to link ideas together or provide additional and yet crucial information to make our essay easy to read and understand. That's what we call elaborations, and elaborations is important to make our essay mature and meaningful. Just like introductions, we can make second paragraph even better. Let's take a look at second sample of paragraph 2. You can pause the videos to read the paragraph. Remember, every one of us are different, but we can relate them to our own personal experience so that they can understand the situation better instead of putting reason or facts. Plus, we can also add in expressions, a phrase or sentences that project our emotions and desires to make our essay livelier. We and readers are not robots, so making our essay more human-like by adding expressions will also spice up our essay, making it more fun and interesting to read our essay. We can see several examples of expressions in this paragraph. Another way to make our essay better is that we should always use strong words that add more depth to our meanings and emphasize on a certain point in our writing. Now let's take a look at the third paragraph, which focuses on the third objective. Here is the first sentence of the third paragraph. You can pause the videos to read the third paragraph. Like second paragraph, we must always answer the objective first. It is not a must to use personal experience to elaborate. Sometimes, a simple reasoning can do well in convincing the readers. However, it can be made even better. Let's take a look at the improved versions of the third paragraph. You can pause the videos to read the paragraph. Always be specific, as nothing beats a clear and concise sentences. Like introductions, we can also involve the readers by using rhetoric questions and pronoun we and you. And in this paragraph, pronoun we is always been used to involve readers. Another step to make our essay more meaningful is to include moral values into the writing. It can be a statement or in the form of actions or series of actions. Lastly, we can also include strong and sincere opinions on a certain matter. It will make our writings more mature and convincing to the readers. Now, we still need to write conclusions to end our essay. We can skip conclusions if we lack of time, but it is advisable not to do so, as it helps to summarize our essay, re-elicit our writing purpose, or strengthens our opinions or purpose, which make our essay even more convincing. Now, let's take a look at the sample of the conclusions. For this writing, you can pause the videos to read the conclusions. Think about the topics of the task and give some opinions on the topic. It can be in the form of advice. It can also be a suggestions. It can also be our expectations or requests. It is not a must to write a long conclusions, just enough to give our final says of the topic. Before we move on to the part 3 of the paper 2, it is wise to check our outline again and tick all those parts that we have done in our writing. This is to ensure that we leave no objective behind, which can cost us our mark. Only when all the required parts are ticked, we will surely get the best mark for our essay. Before this video ends, there are several key notes to remember. First, don't spend more than 25 minutes on the essay. The standard for this writing is B2 level. So in simple terms, as long as you can write a clear and convincing essay, you can get very high marks. Creativity and ability to use rare vocabularies, idioms, saying or quotations is not a must to get the highest mark. But there is a certain merit for you if you are able to do so. Second, always make sure that your essay has covered all the writing's objectives to ensure that you can get the best mark for your essay. Remember, sections that are not related to the writing objective will not be evaluated, so don't write something unrelated just to make your essay longer. Lastly, reread your essay to correct your errors as much as possible. Check your tenses, check your sentence structures, make sure your commas and full stop are clear. As long as you do all the above, your marks will be decent. Thank you for listening, and I hope this video is helpful to you in writing SPM Paper 2 Part 2 guided writing.